The Gottman method and the Gottman Institute are very close and dear to my heart. I have a connection, and I've done some work with the Institute in Seattle and the people who work there, and Doctors John and Julie Gottman, who founded the method and the Institute, and put in like blood, sweat, and tears to really understand and to research and to try to figure out meaning. Like, why do some relationships work out and some don't? Why do some couples have, report a satisfactory relationship and others do not? I bring that up because one of the main things that they learned through the research, they did this research you can look this all up, but at the University of Washington, they had what they called the Love Lab, and they had couples come in and spend the night, and they were completely watched and observed and had blood taken and urine samples and hooked up to pulse oximeters, and very much facial features and expressions were noted and written down, and interactions. And when you came out of this study, they kind of not told you, but you were put into either you were a master of your relationship or you were a disaster of your relationship. So what was the difference? Because it wasn't much, right? We're not talking like, terrible. I mean, of course, we're going to have extremes. But I'm sure there was a ton that could have gone either way. One of the main differences that we see in couples who tend to have a higher satisfaction, or couples who we would say are masters of their relationship, they're having more positive interactions. It's kind of that simple. 20-1. 20 positive interactions for every one negative interaction is really ideal. 5-1 when we're in conflict. And it's less while we're in conflict, because conflict we know is going to have negativity in it, right? Like, we're getting into a conversation that is going to be challenging. So any amount of positivity that could look like I'm understanding where you're coming from, maybe a smile, or I hear that, a validation, right? Those are positives in the face of something that feels pretty negative. I, for a long time, have just been saying 5-1 in general, because 20-1 seems really out of reach for where we are right now. And mainly because of distractions and mindlessly turning away. I think we could have more positive interactions if we were more aware and present and removed some distractions, and we're more intentional. I think we could have more. But for right now, I'm going to go with 5-1. I think you'll see a difference. Couples that come into therapy, or maybe that are like you guys and that are starting to see some cracks and wanting some support, what we find is those couples tend to be closer at a 1-1. Right? One negative. For every one negative, we have a positive. For every one positive, we have a negative. Well, the problem with that is, right, if it's 20-1, those positives are not even registering as positives. They're not even being seen. We are throwing them out because they don't fit. It processed through our brain much quicker, as positive things often do. And it was overtaken by that one negative. The negatives are so much more powerful. They are powerful in the way that they get processed in our brain. We hold on to them more. We ruminate on them more. We start to connect thoughts to feelings. I'm angry. Now I almost have to create a reason to be angry. And now I'm going to be feeling something in my body, which is then going to go up to my brain again. Right? I'm going to maybe shift something up to my amygdala, my fear-based center. I'm going to start making decisions because my fear-based center is all activated. That's what negative interactions and thoughts start to do to us. The other thing with the positive to negative is the neutral. We're going to talk more about this in another lesson, but we have a lot of neutrality. Or we might think, well, we didn't have a bad day, and we just attribute that to a good day. That's not a good day. It just wasn't a bad day. Maybe it wasn't a bad day because you didn't have conflict in it, but did we actually have connection? Because even if we have conflict, here's the thing, we might assume we didn't have conflict, that's a good day. Not necessarily, because that might mean there's an issue there that you have not talked about that is still sitting in there. And so then we're not having positive interactions, because I am not trying to create a positive interaction with you if I'm still upset with you. But I'm avoiding the conflict. Because again, conflict can and should be connecting. So we could actually have a conflict and that had turned out to be positive and connecting. So it cannot just be the absence of negativity. It has to be the intentional act of trying to have a positive interaction. And that might even just be like, every morning I'm gonna wake up and kiss my person. Every morning. I'm gonna turn around and say, good morning, beautiful. Good morning, handsome. Good morning, gorgeous. Good morning, snuggle pooch. Whatever you call the person. I'm going to start my day off in a positive space. My husband and I have always said, and we write on all of the, any wedding that we go to, if we remember to sign the thing. First one up in the morning makes coffee. That has been our thing, our whole marriage. And to the point now we're getting really good at, like, whoever we try to make it the night before, we're like, it's already made. You just got to hit the button. Or actually, like, program it. So it's already all made. When I come downstairs and I see it's made and all I have to do is hit the button, amazing. Because I got up first, I went to go make it, but it's already made. He beat me to it. Right? That's a way in which, in a ritual in which that we create a early morning positive interaction, which didn't require a lot of work. Kissing your partner when they leave. Not just out the door, that obligatory, my face is already this way before with the kiss finished. But like a real intentionally good goodbye or an amazing hello. I mean, people tell me all the time that their dog is the happiest person to see them when they walk in the door. By far. Right? Most other people in the house aren't acknowledging that I'm even coming home, or when they are, it is a, here are all the things that need to happen. So I've said this to people. Imagine if your dog, you come to the door, your dog comes running up to you, and then the first thing they do is drop a shit right at your feet. Well, that would be annoying. We could have gone outside. That is what we do. I'm the dog that shits on my husband's feet when he walks in the door. If the first thing I say to him is, you didn't take the trash out this morning, thanks for not putting the dishes away, that's how I've started our interaction. And then I might think, well, I just was telling him how I feel. And then I'm mad that he's kind of distant for the rest of the night, or got defensive because I just swooped in and did that. Well, that was not a positive interaction. It doesn't mean I don't get to say those things, but how about, wow, hi, welcome home. It's good to see you. How was your day? Do you need some time to just kind of get back into the groove? I'd love some help with dinner when you're done with that. And then maybe as you're cooking dinner, you can talk about some other things that have to do with the dishes and the trash. But we really need to work on creating and engaging and having opportunities where we can have positive interactions. And again, not just interactions where we're not going to be fighting or we're going to have other people there and be distracted. But really, like, how am I creating this positive interaction? Am I answering in kind tone of voice? Am I asking my partner instead of making a statement to them? You know, would you mind grabbing me some water when you're downstairs? Versus like, give me some water. I mean, it's silly, but over time, these things, these statements, we drop the niceties. So again, maybe it's a neutral interaction. It's like not actively bad, but it is in no way actively positive, and we are not intentionally adding deposits into that bank account. So like positive interactions equates to the positive deposits. So we have a positive interaction. Positive interactions could look like anything we talked about in the first 3 lessons, right? So that could be sitting down and asking our partner questions, asking our partner to carve out time for us to even sit down and ask those questions. It is, just checking in at the end of the day. It's asking the other one on a date. It is being appreciative. It is bidding to connect. It is turning towards that bid. It is seeking clarity when you're making an assumption and you turn it around. It is repairing an interaction when things start to head into a certain direction. All of those, so everything within those first 3 levels that we can be working on for our marriage are positive interactions. So they're deposits into this emotional bank account. The more we have of these coins, if you will, deposits into this bank account, the better we're going to be able to manage conflict, which is going to be our full next module. So the reason those first 3 levels need to be in good working order, and we need to be working on them, because when we work on them, we're creating these moments and we are adding deposits into the bank account. When we do that, our conflict is easier to manage. I'm going to talk about all the reasons why that is true in these upcoming lessons. But the homework, think about the current interactions that you're having right now. Are they negative? Are they neutral? Are they positive? How can we make them more positive? Do we need to eliminate distractions? Yes, you do. Right? So take some time, print out as much, and start making note. We had this positive interaction. That's right. That felt really good. What was going on? Because that's what we need to be paying attention to also, because sometimes we actually might be having a positive interaction, or our partner is trying to create an opportunity for a positive interaction, and we are not mindful to it. Our schema is such that that's not possible. They wouldn't do something like that. So when we're more mindful of, that was positive, I'm going to write it down, and I'm going to become aware of that. I'm going to scan for that. So I'm starting to notice these positive interactions coming from my partner too, and I'm not just dismissing them out of hand, so that the positive didn't turn into the negative. Okay. So this is a lot about awareness, talking through together which interactions that you have right now, which might be rituals, right? Which ones of those feel good? It could be, rituals as we leave for the day or we come home in the evening. How do we celebrate things? Again, we're going to talk about a lot of rituals in another module as well. But it's all going to be in part. It all fits together. It all works itself. Like when we do this, that's why this happens, right? How all of these first 3 levels then are the deposits and the positive interactions. Because when our first 3 levels are in fairly good working order, we are more likely to be in positive perspective. Meaning we are more likely to scan for, point out, pick out, and notice all the good that is happening and sharing that with our person. When these first 3 levels are a shit show, we're in negative sentiment. We are scanning for negativity. We are pointing out what's not going right. We are sitting in resentment. We are sitting in our ego won't let us validate. And when we're in negative sentiment, I'm sure you can then take what I've said. All the other conflict is going to be much more challenging. Compromise is very much not happening. And then we're what we call gridlocked in perpetual conflict and issues. And the more that we're gridlocked in perpetual conflict and issues, the higher our chances of being contemptuous. When we're contemptuous, we erode our friendship and intimacy. It all fits together. So we need to be in positive perspective. The only way to be in positive perspective is by doing all of the things that we talked about in the first 3 modules and actively working on them, creating of that plan. Because it really needs to be, our goal needs to be, we need to be sitting in positive perspective as often as possible. When I just talk to couples and I just say, hey, let's look at this as an opportunity. You slept on that game of how to court and date your partner. Take it as a challenge. It's an opportunity to up your game and to dust off, Rico Suave. That's the only one I could think of. I couldn't think of anybody else when I was talking about that today. Dust it off. Dust off that, the old guy or the old girl, the young one who used to, court and be romantic and just flood your partner with love and positivity. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, but it's frustrating when I see that not happening. And I'm like, you guys are fighting about how much you love each other. Just love each other. We need to get in positive perspective. So how are you going to do this? Start to create that plan. Start to look at the ways in which you engage and have interactions, and how can we make them more positive. All right.